This is episode number 646 of the InnerFight podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the InnerFight podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, no matter where you are in the world. Welcome to this another show. Shout out to our show sponsors, Smith Street Paleo. Do hop over to smithstreetpaleo.com. All of your paleo food needs. Don't worry if you don't live in the UAE and can't get on a meal plan. You can hop on the website and get involved and cook yourself and enjoy it all. Drop them an email if you've got any questions. hello@smithstreetpaleo.com. They'd love to hear from you. My guest today is joining me on Zoom from Ireland. One of my, actually a friend, a client who I've been working with for about the last 8 or 9 months. He came to me, wanted to train for Marathon des Sables, and it's quite amusing, and we get into it a little bit more in this show, that when guys come, we go through a massive questionnaire to really understand what they want, why they want it, and just align on things. But still, a few things that we talk about in the show, Keith managed to get by me, but what a guy, what a mindset, and what a story. I'm not going to ruin it, but this is such a unique story, an incredible guy. I love this show. I've already listened back to it once. I'll probably listen to it a couple more times. It's amazing to have Keith as a friend and as a client, and I'm sure you guys are going to absolutely love his story, love his mindset, and I just think it's great. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to another episode of the show, ladies and gentlemen. As I was saying there in the introduction, hopefully you're not scared off the man himself, the ultra running man, all the way from Ireland, Keith Russell. Keith, welcome to the show.
How's it going? Thanks very much.
Mate, super good. We're literally exactly 7 days, almost to the minute we're recording this, from when you finished your 24-hour run last weekend, mate.
Yeah, literally an hour. Just gone an hour. Yeah, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Classic. Mate, we'll come to that later, but I think the best place to start here is a little bit of background on yourself and how you got into running in the first place.
Yeah, so I started running in 2016. My daughter Alanna she's severely disabled, so she was confined to a wheelchair. So we done a lot of fundraising for our house. We had to get it renovated. So we were helped out so much that I wanted to do something for somebody else and just raise a few pounds for another organisation, just basically to pass on the goodwill that we got to pass on to somebody else. So a friend of mine went to do his first ever half marathon, and I went over to have a look, and I seen someone putting a running chair into a van. I was like, oh, what's that? You know, it's got really intrigued about it. And it just sort of stemmed from there about, this is something that we could run with and really, really go with, you know.
What, mate, tell us a little bit about Alanna. What you said she's severely handicapped. Like, what was she suffering from? Just to really set the scene, I think it's important that people understand.
So Alanna was a twin. So her sister passed away just she was stillborn. And when Alanna was born, then she was born 9 weeks premature. So she had spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy, which is basically no use of her arms or legs. She couldn't talk. She was wheelchair bound, but she was happy. She was bubbly. You know, she knew who was who. She's very, very intelligent, but she was completely reliant on us as parents, you know. And when you sort of look at that and you feel like I was 26 years of age, you know, I was feeling like I could barely look after myself, let alone a child now that had severe disabilities that was completely relying on me. So that was very, very hard to come to terms with. And then, like, for the first 4 or 5 years, she screamed an awful lot, she cried an awful lot. So she slept for probably an hour at a time. So it was sort of balanced between staying up at night and then having to go to work. And like Ruth as well had a full-time job, you know, but she was staying up more times than me. And, you know, it was just to get that balance of trying to run a house and keep jobs and stuff like that,
You must have learned some incredible lessons in that period, mate, that you maybe almost subconsciously have taken into ultra running. But if you could sort of highlight maybe one or two things. I mean, the first thing is sleep deprivation. You're clearly the king. But did you consciously like identify with things that you were learning as you were going through those tough times?
No, not at all. Like, going through that time, it was a day by day basis. There's times where you're saying, like, I can't take much more of this. I can't do much more of this, and you're constantly saying that, but then the next day you're getting up and doing the same thing again, so it did get very, very tough. And like, obviously you had people going, I don't know how you do it. And it was like, what are our choices? Our choices are do it or don't do it, and as I said, Alanna was completely reliant on us. So we had no choice but to do it every single day.
So when you're at this race and you see a chair and something just clicks, mate, like, how did that feel? It must have been wild.
It was like that eureka moment. Do you know what I mean? This is what I can do, because with the way Alanna was, she wouldn't really come to me. She always wanted routes. So it was very hard to build a relationship with her that way. So once we started, say, going out at night walking and running and stuff like that, we started to really, really build a relationship together. And there's a guy here, David Doyle, wrote a piece about me and Alanna, and it's called Running for Love. And it's absolutely amazing. And it really depicts of how we got to really into this thing of running and the love of running, and it was just up me and her. It was just absolutely amazing.
But mate, I listened to a podcast of you on the Inspirational Runner podcast a few weeks ago, and actually found out something that I didn't know and probably should have known. But prior to this, you weren't into running, and you're actually not leading an overly healthy lifestyle at all, were you?
No. And I'm ashamed to tell you that. That's what you didn't know.
I'm like, I've been coaching this guy for how long now? And I'm like...
Since November, is it? Yeah.
I went back in my notes. I was like, cheeky prick, never told me that. Tell us a little bit about your lifestyle, mate, before you started running.
Right, like everybody, I was playing football as a kid, and played Gaelic football, soccer, I played golf, I played hurling. But as you get older, you start working. These sort of start to drop off. So I did stay playing football. I trained when I felt I wanted to train. I wasn't overly committed to anything. Smoking when I was 15, and so I was drinking, living the life, as I thought at the time. Having a great time. Were
you in good shape though, mate? Were you one of those people that could basically get away with whatever?
Yes. I'm one of them people that people look at and go, how the fuck do you do that? Like, you go from, say, out smoking to playing football the following day and not a bother. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's just like it's whether it's genetics or whether it's like a natural fitness or a natural ability, which is what I had, and I still do, I suppose, to a large extent. But I was never committed to training. And my older brother doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and he's one of the most committed people to football you'd ever see. His natural ability wouldn't have been as good as mine, and it used to drive him round the bend that I wasn't as committed as he was.
That's incredible, mate. But sport was something you always enjoyed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I was never really committed to it. I done it just to pass a bit of time and stay involved in something. But, when I decided to run with Alanna, the aim was to run Dublin City Marathon in 2017. So it was just like, right, if I'm doing this, I am all in for this. So immediately stopped smoking, wasn't drinking, put absolutely everything into running Dublin City Marathon. And we, 2016, the first time we ran was our park run, the local park run. And I literally tilted Alanna's day-to-day wheelchair back on 2 wheels and done 5K around the park run, yeah. That's how we started. That was the first time we ran together.
And how did you know, because this is almost more for my personal sort of knowledge, mate. How did you know that she was enjoying it?
This is the question everybody asks, and like when I was telling her back, I could see her face and she just looked straight back up at me and she'd be smiling, being out of the house, it was all these different sounds. So you had the birds, you had the wind, you had people shouting her name, all these different things that she'd never really experienced before. Started to really stimulate her. She started sleeping better. Her whole moods were starting to change. It was just incredible the difference that it had within herself. And from there on, that like we were out every weekend, just out running. Like I'd go into her at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I'd grab her by the legs and drag her to the end of the bed. And I'd be like, "Come on, Lana, it's time to go running." And she'd be stretching in the bed and a big smile would come across her face, So that alone to me, that's what I miss now, is that part of dragging her to the end of the bed and seeing that smile on her face.
So she almost knew that was what was coming.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She knew right well where we were going, and she could doze off in the chair as well, when we were off running. So she absolutely loved it.
So how did you put your training together, mate? The goal was to run Dublin City Marathon with her in the chair. How much of your training was with her in the chair, and how much of your training was sort of on your own?
So during the week, I'd say train in the gym, and I train with my running club with Navan AC. So that was sort of based around my training. I done my speed work and my tempo work with my running club. I was bringing Alanna up there originally, but she didn't like running at night. She didn't like running in the dark. She started to get real agitated. So I stopped doing that with her. So I just kept I do my own stuff, and then with her, I'll do the long runs at the weekend. Like we could be gone to Phoenix Park in Dublin for 3 hours, 4 hours, just off running.
Really?
Then we'd be down there at 6 in the morning.
And she'd be okay with that?
No problem at all. But she was peg fed, so I would have to get her up at 5 to put her on a feed, because what happened was if I started running too close to her feed, she'd end up getting sick. So I'd have to get her feed in, just let it settle. So by the time she got her feed and by the time we started running, you'd have to leave it an hour to nearly 2 hours. But once you got that in, she was great, yeah.
So how did it progress, mate? You did a marathon in Dublin.
Yes.
Keep going on the journey.
So we travelled the country doing small runs and stuff like that. I actually ran with a friend of mine here in Ireland. He's from Dingle, Shane Finn. He was doing 24 marathons, 24 days. So I brought Alanna out on one of the days, and I said, right, we'll do a half marathon with him. But we couldn't stop at a half marathon. So we ended up running 45k with him that day. We were standing in traffic. Remember this well, just at the Dublin airport, there's a big roundabout. And we were on the road and we were trying to get through the roundabout. We were standing in traffic, waiting for our to go across the roundabout, and it was just brilliant. It's just the whole journey leading up to the Dublin City Marathon was absolutely amazing. Like, the support we got everywhere we went. I don't know if it's a daughter father thing that people sort of loved or bought into, do you know what I mean? Or just Alanna, like she was just so infectious. You couldn't pass her by without saying hello to her, you know what I mean? Or smiling at her, or it was just impossible. She was just everywhere she went. She was loved, like absolutely loved. So yeah, we ran Dublin City Marathon in 2017. We ran a 3:21:47 marathon.
How much did she weigh, like for that race approximately? What sort of, how many kilos we're talking about you pushing?
I think between her and the chair, probably pushing in around 30 to 35 kilos, I think.
And you ran 3:21.
Yeah, that was my second marathon. So
you knew you were pretty handy at this stuff in 2017, mate.
I think I just got lucky.
No, I think you knew, but that must have also given you quite a lot of motivation. Not only is your daughter happy, but again, like you were at football, you're pretty good at this, at running.
You know, I always said, like, if someone has a natural ability and they're not committed, you know, that's very hard to take. When someone's so committed and they don't have a natural ability, you know, also that's hard to take. But if you have someone that has a natural ability but also very, very committed, that's very, very hard to get with somebody, you know. And I probably did realise early on I had a natural ability for running, and now I was 100% committed to this. So that is, you know, very, very hard to get that with people. And I'm like, just seeing yourself, like, I am all in, and I'm the fittest I've ever been since I started training with you. And I'm loving it, absolutely loving it.
Yeah, you don't mind smashing yourself, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But what I want to sort of ask a little bit, mate, about the impact that you obviously had a massive impact on the communities at these races and various different people that were perhaps going through struggles, perhaps having children that had various conditions. I imagine you really impacted a lot of people. Was that part of your motivation as well?
Yeah, because I know how tough it is to live with a child with disabilities. I know day to day the frustration. You're fighting for everything that you get. You know, for carers, you're fighting for, say, your house isn't suitable for the child. You're trying to get money. It's just relentless. And you get up fighting, you go to bed fighting. And that's the way it is. And it was really to show people that there's more out there to enjoy in life. Yeah. You know, you can get out there. Granted, you have these things on a day-to-day basis, Monday to Friday, but at a weekend, put your child in a pram, buggy, chair, whatever it is, and get out and let them enjoy the pleasures of life. Do not have them sitting inside in a room looking at the same four walls. I think this is why they get so frustrated. And I think this is why Alanna was so frustrated for the first few years of life, because we couldn't really bring her out. But once we started to bring her out, like, I used to walk the roads at 3 or 4 in the morning with her just so she could try and get her to sleep a bit. And once I was able to do that and see the impact it was having on her, I was prepared to do anything then at that stage to try and make our lives easier, but to sort of give her a new lease of life. But in actual fact, I was doing a race, and the more I thought about it, it was her that was giving me a whole new lease of life. You know, I was thinking about it completely the wrong way, that it was us doing that for her, but I never thought about what she was doing for me.
It's quite powerful to think about it the way you've just explained it, mate, that all you're actually doing is taking your daughter outside and running with her. And all of those challenges that you spoke about, like what you have to do to your house and taking care of them. And I think we often probably link like technological advances that make it easier for people with disabilities to move around and to enjoy life. But you've actually stripped it down to as basic as it can be, putting her in a chair and going out for a run or a walk. And it's made you both, it's brought you both an incredible amount of happiness.
Absolutely.
It's
you know, like,
it's strange, isn't it?
Well, I'd say now that if I didn't have Alanna, my life would not be where it is now.
For sure.
Not a chance.
For sure. So how many races did you do together?
So we only ever done one marathon. That would have been Dublin.
Right.
But we travelled the country doing like 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathon. I think we done a couple of half marathons. We done a good few 5Ks and 10Ks. So what I do is, myself and a friend of mine sat down and we mapped out, right, these are the races we're going to target within the year that we want to do. So we contacted the organisers, race director clubs, whatever it was, asked them, just told them, right, we have a running chair, and would it be okay to run in your race? And, you know, they couldn't have done any more for us. You know, it was like, absolutely, come on down. We started off ahead of everybody else, so we would have started off probably 5 minutes before everybody else. And then the main, but to be clapped off at the start line from races by, like, you could have 500 people clapping you off at the start of a race. It's just unbelievable. Like it gave you know that goosebumps feeling. That's every race I've done just got that. It's just absolutely amazing.
And then you go out and absolutely smoke half the field, mate. You just absolutely destroy them.
The competitive side of me then comes out.
Yeah, it's like poor Alanna's sat there in the chair, like horse coming.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful, but in December of 2017, it all stopped.
Yes.
Do you want to talk us through that, if you can, mate? If you're okay with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So after Dublin City Marathon, we moved back into our house then on the 1st of December in 2017. So we had basically got our whole house renovated for Alanna. Her birthday was on the 4th of December, and the 12th of December, I had Alanna home one night and I put her to bed. She woke up, I got in bed beside her, same as we did every night. 2 o'clock in the morning, I got out of bed, went up to my own bed, and I said, if she wakes up, I'll hear her. I came down, had going to work at 6:30 in the morning, and I just went in to have a look on her, and I found her dead in the bed.
Wow. What was that like, mate?
Oh, Jesus. To be honest with you, for a long, long time, I still seen her face. I still seen from when I found her, you know. To be honest with you, I just absolutely lost my life. I didn't even know what to do. I shouted for Ruth. Ruth came down, grabbed her, brought her into the kitchen, started trying to resuscitate her. But you knew at that stage she was gone. Like, you know, our house was flooded then with ambulance, police, doctors, you know, and you know, it's just everything just happened so quick around you, you know. Yeah, very tough.
Bruce, mate, very difficult to even start to imagine. What did you'd obviously started something quite special that, as you said there, had given you a lot running with her, had started you running. Was there something that, as you were dealing with her passing, you sort of almost made a promise to her when it came to running?
Well, look, I've said to you a lot of times that when I go out training, I sort of think about a lot. And when I come back, I sort of brain dump onto training peaks, and you probably read it going, "Holy Jesus!" But you know, and a lot of the questions that I put up to you is like, "Why me?" This is one I always think of. Why me? Why did this happen to me? So it started from when Isabel passed away. It was like, why is this happening to us? And when you get to a point of then Alanna is severely disabled. So again, you have that why me factor. Once I started running with Alanna and started to see what we were doing, like we raised, I think it was about 75,000, and we bought a wheelchair accessible bus for a unit in Navan that Alanna attended. We see that around the town now, and it's donated by Team Alanna on the side of the bus, you know. So that factor of that's what we created, you know what I mean? This is why we done this, you know. But then when Alanna passed away, you're back to that thing of why again? Like, we were getting into such a really, really good place, and we were doing such great things. Like you're raising nearly hundreds of thousands, you know, like for our house, and after that we raised over 150,000 euro, you know. So you get to that factor of why is this happening to us again, you know? And that's very, very hard to take, and it can lead you down the wrong path. It can. And I've seen it happen to people, and I honestly didn't want to be that person.
So you sort of make a pledge to not be that person, right?
Absolutely. It's a choice. It comes down to choice. And people say it's very, very hard to make that choice. No choice is easy. So it does come to choice. That's simply what it is. It's choice. You go this way, you go that way. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to go one way, right?
Absolutely.
Why do you
think one road is easy, but it's going to cause a hell of a lot of shit. And the other road is not easy to take because society expects you to be such a way after losing a child. Like, we're living every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Society would expect you to be down in the dumps, can't get out of bed, crying all the time. Don't get me wrong, for the first first 6 months to a year, that's the way it was. I'd go to work and tears would start streaming down your face. You'd get this trigger. These things happen. And then I started to drink a little bit more, and I was going, no, this is not what I want. This is not me. So I aimed then to say, right, I'm running Dublin City Marathon in 2018 for Alanna. So that was my goal. That was my focus then. So I said, this is what I'm going to do. Wasn't for time. It was just to be there to do it for her, because this was one of the best days of our lives. Stopping on this finish line, Dublin City Marathon, to give her a kiss, to recognise what she had done for me.
How did it feel when you went back there, mate, in 2018?
It was tough. And also, when we went back, we were actually awarded the Lord Mayor's Medal, which is given to somebody that's running Dublin City Marathon have been through like a really, really hard time. So we were awarded that at the start line of the Dublin City Marathon. And they also retired Alanna's number 141 from the Dublin City Marathon. And these things were given to me at the start, like just before we ran. And, it's absolutely amazing accolade to have. And, we ran it once. We didn't run it 10 times or whatever. We ran it once. Yeah. So it just goes to show the magnitude of the person that Alanna was, that just touched everybody, absolutely everybody. And at Mile 8 then, people remember, because she had only turned 8, so it was like forever 8. So now at Mile 8, there's the picture of her, and there's like a little thing to dedicate Mile 8 to Alanna. So every year
it's phenomenal, mate, the impact that you created in such a short time.
Absolutely. I still can't believe it. In such a short space of time, the amount of people that she's touched, and like it'd be said to me, like, you probably never know the extent of what she has done for people, like, and getting people out there to run, or just if he's doing it with a chair, of course I can do it on my own. You know what I mean? And that's what and that's the way it is. Like.
Yeah. So, mate, let's get to a couple of the facts. What was your time in your second visit to Dublin City Marathon then?
So the second visit, I done 3:15.
3:15.
So yeah, before that, I was sort of going, I don't want to break the time that I done with Alanna.
Right.
And that was in my head going to it. That's what it was. And the day before it, someone texted me and they says, "Hey, you have never held back in a race. Why would you start now?"
Yeah.
So go and give it your all, give it your best, and that's all you can do. And I was like, you're fucking right.
Yeah.
So with that, getting that stuff at the start, it was always going to be a very, very tough marathon to run. One of the toughest I've ever ran. But 3:15, I was happy.
Happy days.
Yeah.
And mate, your personality goes, it doesn't go, I'm running 3:21. It says I'm going to run faster. But now that you've run faster, it also says I need more.
I have to run faster.
So talk us, because that leads to sort of, this is a great story, but it leads to what you did last weekend as well. So what came into your mind after you had your time, 3:15? It was for Alanna. I know that something you were thinking of something, mate.
Yeah, it's right. Okay, I've done a marathon. What can I do next? Like, I was building confidence all the time with the training I was doing. So I says, right, what can I do? Like, I sort of built all this up. I've trained hard. I want to push myself, and I've heard people doing ultra marathons, 50k, 100k, and I says, need this one, Dublin to Belfast. I said, that sounds good. That's what I want to do.
That sounds really, it's got really good,
this is really going to test me. This is really going to push me, like, and see, will it cement what I think that I am mentally strong? Is this going to cement that I can push through this and I can get there, and can I sustain the amount of training that it's going to require to get to that level? So Dublin to Belfast is 107 miles, 172 kilometres, I think it was.
Oh.
And to be honest, I didn't even hire anybody to helped me out training, and I just sort of, same as I always did, just sort of breezed through, just done my own training, and I knew it was just going to take back-to-back miles and train hard during the week, but at weekends was double days running. As you know, I love double days running.
You love double days.
So I knew it was just going to take that and building from there. So I sort of started at like 20k on a Saturday, 20k on a Sunday. Then I go to 30k on a Saturday, 20k on a Sunday, and just sort of build it up that way. Up until I think I went to about 125k. So I ran a marathon on a Saturday morning. I went and done a marathon that night, and then I went to ran a marathon again the following morning. Much what way I worked it.
And sometimes, mate, when people go from the marathon to an ultra, it's sort of like, because it's a lot more hours, right? And you know, you just said it there: marathon that day, marathon that night, marathon the next day. Like it's a lot. Where was your head at with that, mate? And are you filling a void? Was it like, was Alanna still with you? Was it strange, or what was going on?
I took it. I done a lot of that running on my own. So for me, I was being able to process everything that was going on in here, and I think that's why when we do a training peaks thing, and I sort of start spieling out like 2 paragraphs of stuff. That's just me processing everything that sort of I'm thinking about, and it makes things a hell of a lot easier doing that. And there's no like writing things down, sort of gets it out. That it's not staying in, because if it stays in, I think that's where the decline starts to come from. So I think because I'm answering questions to myself, and then I can write it out on paper, that's it sort of put away and parked. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Now I can get on to what I need to do and what sort of training I need to do and how much I need to push myself. And, you know it's going to hurt. It's how much you're going to let it hurt.
Yeah. Was it difficult, mate, to spend that much? I mean, you speak about it quite positively, and you know, from working with you and reading your training peaks, I think it's all super positive what you've said. But was there tough times, mate, where, you know, you sort of felt like Alanna was there, but she obviously wasn't anymore, and you had all of this time on your own to think?
Yeah, I initially, like when I go out the door, it's like there's something missing. You know, like we ran together every Saturday or Sunday morning, so it felt like there was something just completely missing. I could be running down the road, you'd start thinking about it, tears would start coming down your face. But as I say, you sort of get that out of your system. Then you can say, right, the next 20k is all positive.
Right.
You know, so as I said, like I sort of got to a stage where I was seeing things that I seen that morning was starting to come forward a bit later on, because at the time you don't even take in what's happening. But you start these sort of memories start to come forward, and it starts to get very, very tough. So what I had to do was sort of push them to one side. Think about the stuff that we've done, the stuff we created, the good times, the times we were out running together. Since I started doing that, everything has been so much more positive and so much more better for me going out to do long runs. So
173 Ks, your first ultra. Like, no problem. Nice and easy number, mate. Talk us through it. How did it go? How did it feel? What happened?
I was very, very cautious. Like pace-wise, I knew if I go out fast, I get to halfway and that'll be it. But I had picked my points, so I drove the route. I drove the route twice, and I picked my points, right, 40k, 80k, and then so on to the point of going, once I get to this point, you know, anything could happen. And I also went and I ran the last 10k. So I knew once I got to that point, I knew where I was, I knew where I was going, and I knew this is it, this is the finish. So once we started off, I knew I was like in amongst some good runners. A lot of lads like to tell, you know yourself, you're out running and you're heading out the road, and lads like to tell you what they've done. Ultramarathon wise, they like to ask you, and I'm like, this is my first one, man.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of thinking, I think I should be probably a little bit further back and not up here with these lads. But I had my pace set. I think it was 6 minutes, or I think about 6 minutes kilometers what I wanted to set my pace at. There was a guy running beside me, and he was picking up pace. And I said to him, look, if you want to run a bit quicker, I says, go on. I says, I'm sticking at 6 minute kilometers, and I'm not going any further until I hit halfway and see how I am at that stage. So I got to my points, and the support along the road again was phenomenal. You know, a lot of people knew I was doing it. Again, it was raising money, and just to see people out on the side of the streets with Team Alanna tops on, you know what I mean? It was just absolutely incredible. You know, it was just absolutely amazing. Like I have like this Alanna Russell top on. We go for pink, black, and white. So, but to see people with them on, it's like, you know, it's so heartwarming for me as a parent that she touched everybody like this, and all I'm doing is continuing on what she has created for me.
Yeah,
you know, and yeah, so I think I finished third in that, and I done 18 hours 20 minutes in that one. Yeah.
And then was it after that? So that took place in sort of
March.
Is it March, mate? Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it after that you started thinking about longer stuff? And is that how you got to sort of Marathon des Sables?
Yeah. It was like, you know, you start looking up these things, and you know, I've done this. So what can I do now? You know, what's going to push me? What's really, really going to build that mental strength? And that's when I got in touch with you about Marathon des Sables.
Yeah.
I think that was the June. It was coming up to the June, and I got in touch with you, and I said, "You're right, I'm going to run a sub-3 marathon." And you said to me, "I tell you what, come back to me when you run the sub-3 marathon." So I was like, perfect. Yeah. So we picked a few friends of mine were heading down to Cork, and I says, "This is it." I was actually training for a 24-hour race at this stage.
That's right.
With energy at 24. So I thought, right, that was 1 mile loops in a park. So I thought this is one to really push me, like mentally, because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and see how that would go. But in between that, I decided then to run Cork Marathon, and I was going to go down and just again tip around, but through fashion, it's like, so why would I do that? Might as well go and push myself.
Yeah.
So after you saying that to me, it's like, right, challenge is on. So I went down and ran a 2:57:08, I think it was.
Yes, yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah, 2:57:08 or 09. But yeah, I broke the 3 hour, and then I had the energy at 24 race, so then it was the end of June. So again, that was my first 24-hour around the track. Very hot day.
How was that? I mean, because you were, for your progression in running and into sort of ultramate was super fast. Like literally, you know, within a year you've done Dublin to Belfast 170. Now you just popped a sub-3 hour marathon, and now you're into a 24-hour race. You must have just been having the time of your life. Like, I don't know, you know.
It's confidence. You know, you start building that confidence. That can be a dangerous thing as well, because you can get overconfident. So you have to be, I suppose, grounded as to what your ability really is. Because you could aim so high, if you don't hit it, it could come crashing down on you.
Yeah.
And that nearly happened. You know, but that's something that I've sort of overcome now.
So how was that 24 hours mile circuit?
Tough. The week leading up to it, I didn't get much sleep. So I knew that was going to affect me big time. It started at 12 o'clock in the day. I got to 12 o'clock at night and just hit a wall. And I had to just go in and lay down for about 10 or 15 minutes. From then on, it was really struggle to keep going. I was down to run at night, you're falling asleep, you're trying to keep moving forward. So you're down to run a lap, walk a lap, and just to try and generate some forward momentum was tougher and tougher and tougher each hour that went by.
How do you do it then, mate? Do you call on the skills that you learned bringing Alanna up and the hardships that you dealt with there, or is that not transferable? How did you keep going?
Yeah, I think it is a lot to do with that. That I told her before that no matter what race we start, we'll always finish. So for me, if I start a race, I'm finished no matter what. I'll be there at the whatever the 24th hour. I'll be moving on the 24th hour. So yeah, it's a lot of that and a lot of talking to her and a lot of going, help me fucking out here.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
That's straightforward. So
Yeah.
how many laps did you do? How far did you run in that 24 hours?
Laps wise, I don't know, but what did I do? 209.7 kilometers in that one. It was just short of 130 miles. Was it 130 miles? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, something around.
Short of it, yeah.
And then I guess the next real big, I mean, we're building into this 24 hours that you did last weekend, mate. But the next real big one was you've gone from a 1 mile track down to a 400-meter track at the end of last year for 100 miles. Talk us through that, mate.
Yeah, so Alanna's anniversary was coming up. Our second year anniversary was 13th of December. And I just wanted to do something that represented me and her together. So again, wanted to push myself. Obviously, I don't do things easy. So I just says, right, I'll do 100 miles around a 400-meter track. And time-wise, I wanted to do it 16 hours. But I never took into consideration stopping, changing clothes, anything like that. And I was like, shit, now I have to run quicker.
I mean, mate, as well, and most of the time, the weather is not an excuse. But when you're doing these things in Ireland, where you're doing them, I think, and and this is how I see the weather. If you're going out for a 5 or a 10K or even a 20K run, we're talking a couple of hours. But when you're doing challenges like you've been doing in Ireland, that last weekend was 24 hours. This one that we're talking about now is 16 hours and the weather's shit. I think we can talk a little bit about the weather, right? We sort of, you kind of earn the right because it plays such an important factor, right?
Yeah, like we talked about it before, and it was like before the 24 hour, and it was more the heat that we were worried about, because it was so humid here on the days leading up. Like I brought one jacket last weekend. You know, this is how confident I was it was going to be a nice day. But run around the track, because the track as well is so open. When you come around on the straight, you have wind and rain just straight into your face. So you're trying to get through that, to get around the corner, and then to do it again, I suppose. And when you change direction, you just get on the other side. So it didn't really matter.
I've got an answer to that in a minute, mate. But last weekend was the 24 hours, mate. And, you know, like all good things, you gave me loads of time and, you know, or maybe not. I think it was literally like 3 weeks ago. You sent me a message and I mean, mate, we could actually talk the whole day because we could talk about all these training sessions that you did for MDS and the time that you spent in what we nicknamed the oven. But 3 weeks to get ready to run 24 hours, mate. Where's your head at when you decided that you wanted to do this?
First of all, like, there's one of the training sessions that I'll never forget with MDS. When I texted you and said I had to stop because I was fucked.
Yeah.
And you text me back and said, I suggest you get back on it. And I was like, I was having a fucking laugh. And you says, back on it. So put the gear back on, got back on the treadmill, done 2 hours. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
On a training level, because you know when you're going through a training session and you're hitting it really hard and you're going, I don't have any more to give. Get that message. It wasn't like, it's okay, don't worry about it, because then it would have happened again. every other training session after that, it was in my mind of going, I can't even text him to say I've stopped again. So there was no choice. But like for me, going into this 24-hour, I tell people I have myself at a level now, so it's like 80% ready all the time. So if I say, right, I have 3 weeks notice, and this, to be honest, it just came up at spur of the moment. You know, like they were raising money for the running track, and I says, right, I'll run in 24 hours around it if you want. You can do it as an event, try and raise money for it. Perfect. So I have myself at that 80% level. All I have to do is add that little bit extra to be at the point of where I need to be. And we went out, well, a week or two prior to that, we'd done 8 hours, an 8-hour run. And that was literally just to get the body used to running all hours of the morning, and more of a shock to the system. That it wasn't going to be a shock to the system on the 24-hour run. Like,
how did you feel when you committed to it, knowing, even though mate, you're incredibly fast, you're an incredibly strong runner, like, I mean, MDS, we looked at, which for those people that are listening at the time of this conversation, MDS has been postponed to December. So we probably do another show about MDS when you actually get there and come in the placing that we want you to come in, mate. But you sort of, how did you put it in your mind, and how did you feel, mate, when, yes, you're at this good fitness level, but it's only 3 weeks? Because a lot of people would either use that as an excuse, or, so I'm interested to hear and to tell people where your head's at when you committed to something so big with 3 weeks notice.
so we talked about why I ran with Alanna, about showing people what can be done with a child with disabilities. Now I'm on this other side of it. I'm trying to show people what it's like to live life as a parent that's lost a child. That your life is not over. You know, you can be happy. You can push the boundaries. You can get focused. You know, all these sort of things. I see some of it on Facebook that when your child dies, you know, you're just living out the rest of your days. Complete bull. It absolutely drives me crazy. You know, you have to refocus yourself. Like, granted, I think about Alanna every day of my life. It doesn't stop me doing what I need to do. It doesn't stop me staying focused. It doesn't stop me being determined. It doesn't stop me hitting my goals. Simple as that. So going into this 24-hour, the training that we had done for Marta de Sab, like, I was confident. I was very, very confident. And, you know, we talk about, right, what distance are we going to hit? We said 225. Then you said to me, why not 226? And I said, so why not 240? And then I looked up the Irish record, which was 245, and I said it to you, and you're like, sure, why not? So we went up, what, 20K in the space of a conversation.
I know, mate. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? It's like two old blokes at an auction with just money to burn. And it's like, well, there's quite a big difference there. And then, yeah, I mean, mate, as well, which is a huge respect to, you know, to him and also to you, the guy that has the record, you know, is an incredibly accomplished ultra runner.
Absolutely.
You know, and I mean, he won UTMB down low, man. Mate, his surname is Keith, and his first name is Owen Ian.
Yeah.
I've heard it said on different shows and by different commentators in a different way. You guys should definitely learn how to spell names a bit easier. But, I mean, the guy's a monster, and yeah, on over the course of about 10 minutes and a few WhatsApps, we've sort of gone, let's have a crack at this record, 245.
Yeah.
Which, when we broke it down, mate, and when we went through those 8 hours, for people that listen, a quick calculation is basically about 5:30 a K for about 57 minutes, which will get you 10.3 Ks in an hour, and then 3 minutes to spare if we need to change, or which were some of the things that we didn't do in the December effort there.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we looked at it like that, mate, I mean, you'd say like how that it seemed quite achievable, right?
Yeah, it did. And that's where I'm saying the confidence thing comes in about, yeah, like I take it on, no problem. If any race, if someone said to me, will you do this? Absolutely. I'll take it on. And I will give it everything, absolutely everything. So we talked about it, and like, I suppose between the two of us, the confidence I have in myself and the confidence you have in me, we both thought it was achievable.
Yeah.
Really, really did. Like, and I think that's the best way to be. You aim high. You have to aim high.
Talk us through it then, mate. What happened?
Well, I finished it.
I mean, it's awesome. I have a 14, and I think I sent it to you. I have a 14-page PDF of every single one of your lap splits, mate. It was like, for me, for 24 hours, I'm literally just refreshing. He's done another lap. What was the split? He's done it.
Yeah.
The worst thing was, mate, on that website is when you were sort of behind pace, it highlighted the lap in orange.
All right.
So it's not actually come out on the spreadsheet, but on the website, I was like, and I'd see this orange come up and be like, oh, fuck, what's happened here? So, like, talk us through it, because your pacing was bang on for a lot of it.
My pacing was bang on for about 14 hours. A friend of mine came up as well to pace me. We do a lot of running in the mountains, and he was absolutely phenomenal. Another Keith Lane, but he was timing the laps for me. So anytime I was sort of dropping off a bit, he'd stick his hand out and just sort of push up. Or if I was going too fast, he'd just sort of put his hand just slightly there just to say, ease back a bit. And it was, because the way you can sort of run away with yourself, or you can just go, I think I'm running quicker than I am.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing helped an awful lot. But I hit about 2 o'clock in the morning to about 4 o'clock. I hit that, that real cognitive fatigue.
Yeah.
That you start to slur your words. You can just feel yourself starting to deteriorate rapidly. I don't know if it was a lot, but it was down to trying to take in food. I was struggling to take in food or digesting food, and so I was trying to take a lot of it in through water or fuel or liquid stuff.
Yeah.
But I just hit that point of, if someone had asked me my name, I wouldn't have known. Like,
really?
So
totally curious.
So I think looking at it now, I probably did go out the first 8 hours slight bit too fast. I think I covered 87k, was it, in 8 hours?
Yeah.
So once I hit about 4 o'clock in the morning, I had to lay down for 5 minutes and got a cup of coffee, got a bit of food in. Once I got up, I was back to where I was like when I started again. So I was able to pick up, you'll probably see my splits then start up again as to where they were for another 10k. And then, you sort of start, you can feel yourself going down again. You're trying to hold pace. So that sort of thing happened to me about 3 times. And I was talking to my dad, and I was saying, I can just feel myself just really, really deteriorating. And, and there was lads there just running with me. The crowds of people with me that were running at the end, like, it was like 20 or 30 people running with me at the end. And, they kept me going the whole way. The crowds on the side. It was amazing, and it's just that dig in and just keep moving forward, and it's what you have to do.
I mean, mate, I'm just scrolling on there. Your first long break was at like you said, at 14. Is actually at 14 hours 41, where the lap split shows that you took 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then literally an hour later is the same, where you take 12 minutes to do a lap. So you obviously had a break there. And then it's mental, because at 16:53, so 2 hours, 10 minutes later, it's the same thing starting to repeat itself. And that's when we just couldn't afford that that extra sort of
Exactly.
8 or 9 minutes, could we?
No.
What was going through your mind when that was happening, mate? Because, I mean, we'd had a chat, hadn't we? We said, like, this is the pacing. It's aggressive. Go out. And if it goes tits up, it goes tits up. We know you can walk to the end. You weren't so far ahead, but you were nicely on target, slightly ahead. And then from hour 14, it almost started to slip.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
So I crossed the 12-hour mark with, I think, 2K to spare. So I crossed the 12 hours, I think it was 128 kilometers.
Yeah.
Something like that. So I was going, right, them 2 kilometers is giving me like 10 minutes rest. You know, so you're trying to calculate this all, and then you're sort of going, way too early for this to be trying to work stuff like this out. Do you know what I mean? And you're going, right, I have to do that again. So now we're on the downward slope of the race or the run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, so you're trying all these little tactics just to keep yourself occupied, moving forward. Eventually, as I said, you just get to this point of going, I just have to keep moving forward. Whether it's walking, whether it's whatever it is. And like we said, that it is going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough for the first half.
Yeah.
Second half is going to be a hell of a lot tougher.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just trying to maintain pace. It's trying to keep going forward. And if the wheels come off, the wheels come off. You just keep moving forward until the 24-hour mark. And that was the strategy. And
but how did you? One thing that is phenomenal about your splits, mate, is that you'd have a bad lap, but then you'd have sometimes 6 really good laps, or you'd be back on like 2:30 pace per lap for you know, that consistency. So what are you doing to dig? Because is it physical, or is there a trick that you're using, mate, to pull yourself up?
I don't talk. I just focus. And like, people were coming up and running with me, and they were saying to other people, I don't know whether to talk to him or not, because he's not really talking. You know, because you're just so blinkered, you're so focused on, don't give the pain a voice. So my quads from about 50K on were just sore, you know, from just a constant, you know, running. And they got really, really, really sore as the time went on. If I stopped, they just completely seized up. So it was not letting that get into me, not letting that sort of overtake everything that was happening. So I think it was just sort of keep focusing, keep moving forward. And like, as well, with the people that came up and run with me, you know, it's great, the support. And I love, like, it's just amazing, the support that I get from the local community, from the local running club and the Meath area, like, you know, and that gives you that extra bit to pick up, to keep going to the end, no matter what it is. And I did come down to walk a lap, run a lap. That run a lap, I was in agony running that lap. I couldn't wait to get back around to walking a lap.
Mate, tell us about the weather, because I've seen the video, and literally we said it before we started recording. The last sort of scene of this video is you being interviewed, and behind you, the support tent is almost getting lifted off the ground.
Yeah. I sent another picture of the start, just before the start, where the rain was hammering down.
Yeah.
That's what it was like all day, all night. Just rain lashing down, wind, and then the rain would go, and then the wind was just relentless. So you're running into it. But as I say, these are things that you can't control. It is what it is. It was either that or it was going to be really, really humid. We would have had to adjust our pace and then, because you get dehydrated. So it was going to be one or the other, and that's what it is. And that's why I'd never say, oh, the weather was bad. We live in Ireland, man. Weather's never good. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
That's so true. Does it, like, looking back at it now, mate, you did 590, was it 596 gives that? no, 568 laps.
68, yeah.
Gives you 227 kilometers, which it's incredible. It really is incredible, mate. Do you still think that if the weather was playing, I mean, because we're talking about a national record, which is of international standards that you were trying to break.
Yeah.
You know, Usain Bolt, unless the wind is absolutely perfect, he doesn't break the world record. Like, everything has to align, mate. Is that something that's still in your mind now?
No, not at all. I wouldn't sort of stick on that and say, oh, the weather went against me, this went against me. That doesn't come into a factor whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, like, I went and tried to run the whole perimeter of Meath, and I had to stop at 210 kilometers. That absolutely grinded on me, and I could not get that out of my head. That absolutely drove me crazy. So this, I think, sort of just, that was just to push that under the carpet, to say that was only a one-off. So to get to 227 kilometers, I was delighted. I was absolutely chuffed. I gave it everything, absolutely everything. And I was, as I said, I was down to walk a lap, run a lap, because that's all I could do. You know, there was no 1 and 2 laps, because I wouldn't have made it around. So that's me. I gave it everything. It's not a race situation, so I was doing this on my own. I wasn't racing against anybody. If it was a race situation, could I make up more laps? If it was different conditions, you know, so many different factors that I could have got another 10k out of that, if not more. Yeah. You know what I mean? So doing it on my own was always going to be tougher. Doing it into that wind was going to be tougher, and I knew all that. So I wouldn't sit there and say, oh, this I could have went further. I got 227 kilometers, man. I'm delighted.
I love it, mate. Do you think that's, again, something that the times and the struggles and the hardships that you had with Alanna, do you think that's just a peace of mind that you carry through, mate? Is that where you learned that from, or have you learned that from somewhere else?
No, I think of all the things I've done, and you know how hard it is and how hard life is, and I said my life could have been completely different. You know, after Alanna died, my life I could have went completely the other way, but I didn't, because I didn't want it. Again, this was my choice to be where I am today, to have this drive, to have this determination. I would not be where I am today if I did not have Alanna. So I have so much to be thankful to her for. And I'm not going to let that slip. You know, I just want to keep her memory alive in me and in anybody else that I can. And it's what I can do, if I can help anybody out that has lost a child and they're struggling to gain a focus again or gain control of their life again. You know, this is what I want to do. I want people to look at that and go, my life is not over. I don't have to live the next 20 years of my life in the depths of hell because I lost my child. You know, you think of the good times you had together. You know, and once you can bring that forward and you smile, that's what I want. If I can help somebody like that, I'm happy.
You make me smile when you say that, mate. It's crazy, isn't it? Honestly, it's so amazing to listen to. So, mate, I mean, as always with these things, everyone's like, what's next? So I have to ask you that question if I'm going to do this show properly. So
yeah,
we obviously said that MDS is not confirmed, but I know there's other things in your mind, mate. So what's going on?
Yeah, so again, as you said, MDS is going to be September. Will it go ahead? Won't it go ahead? Anyone's guess. I have signed up for another race. I signed up for it previously, but it's actually on the same day that MDS is starting. So it's Belfast to Dublin. So it's just the opposite way.
Other way around.
So, yeah. So if that goes ahead, if the MDS doesn't go ahead, I might jump in and do that. You know, and then I'm doing 15th of August, I'm doing the Seven Sisters in Ireland. It's up in Donegal. It's 4,000 metre ascent for 50k. Again, that's just a training run, I suppose, just to keep me occupied.
Is this, I mean, mate, we're talking about a short period of time here, 4 years from 2016. It probably feels like a lifetime. You've run thousands of kilometres, but do you feel that running and ultra running is you now?
Yeah, running, being involved in running has saved me no end. It's basically changed my life. It saved me mentally from losing my daughter. So, like, I just, I owe so much to Alanna, but I owe so much to being involved in running. And I always want to push myself to the best I can be. Again, if someone said to me, "Do you want to go and run up the mountain somewhere, go UTMB?" I'd be all over it. I'd be all over it. I love pushing myself so hard. It's not to feel pain. It's for the achievement of where I've been to where I'm going and where I'm coming from.
Where will you be, mate, in 10 years with it all? Do you ever think about that?
No, I think I sort of live in the moment. I live for what am I going to do next. Training plan wise, like I love the training. With the training that you put up there, it's so different. It's so varied. You're not doing the same thing over and over again. And I love all that. And then we sort of set our sights on, right, what race are we going to do? What pace are we going to do? How do you think we're going to do in it? And just push myself. And I love pushing myself to have that determination. As I said, I gave up smoking and I don't look back. I don't even drink really anymore because you can't afford to, especially when you're pushing yourself so hard because you're just going to get punished.
Did you have a beer after your 24 hours last Sunday?
No. I went out for a drink there just last Friday with a few lads, but no, didn't have a drink after it. No.
It's
the hot water bottle in bed.
Right, and you probably stayed in bed for a couple of days as well.
I was back in work the following day.
Oh yeah, it was Monday, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah, back in work. Yeah.
Incredible.
No rest.
No rest, mate. I always try and wrap up with a similar question, and that question is, and your case is even more phenomenal, and there's so much you've shared. But if you could share one final piece of advice or wrap up everything that you've learned in one thing that you'd want someone to remember, what would your best piece of advice be?
Mine would be that, there is no limitations on what you can do. You have to aim high and keep aiming higher. Get out, think about the good things in life, and that's what I try to do, and so good.
Right, you certainly do, mate. Super inspiring, and wow, we can probably just carry on talking for a couple of hours, mate. But you've probably had enough of me grilling you.
Not at all.
I mean, mate, honestly, what a story, what a background. What a cheeky prick for never telling me how much you smoke. But it's like we have, and I remember when I've still got your questionnaire that we go through. I was not in there, and I'm just like,
you must have searched it all, did you?
Hey, I'm going to change the questionnaire now. Do you or have you ever smoked?
I was trying to convince you I could break the 3-hour marathon. I wasn't going to tell you I was smoking as well.
Oh, mate, you'd have made it more of a challenge. But, mate, absolutely phenomenal. You super inspiring, Keith. And mate, you're Athlete of the Month a few months ago.
Thanks very much for that.
And yeah, we still owe you a pair of shoes for that, by the way. I'll get them over to you now that aeroplanes are actually flying in that direction. But mate, you've become quite a legend within the InnerFight endurance community, despite Rob Foster only giving you 2 lines in last week's newsletter. It's like, are you kidding? This guy's just won 227K and he got 2 lines in our newsletter. But mate, I know you're in touch with a few of the guys that are also going to MDS. But honestly, mate, so inspiring, an incredible story. And I know you've probably spoken about Alanna a lot, but I imagine it's still quite tough to talk about. So the way that you spoke to us today is just, mate, it's phenomenal. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, look, it is. But, you know, as I said, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be on. We would have never been in contact if it wasn't for Alanna, you know. And I said to you before, I appreciate everything you've done to help me to be where I am as well, fitness-wise and goal-setting-wise and determination-wise, because like, you're super inspiring as well. And the mental aspect of things as well, it rubs off on people. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Awesome, mate. Legend. Thank you,
Cheers,
Kitty.
man.